Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breathe Motivation. My name's Anthony Hester. I am your host for this show. So glad to join you today. So excited for the week. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you guys are heading into the weekend with a great plan. That's always a great thing, is to have a great weekend, enjoying what you do. So my goal here is to help you find purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis, and that's why I'm here. So let's get started. So today we are going to talk about making tough decisions. So we'll start off with the definition. So the definition for decision is a conclusion or resolution reached after consideration. Now, this is one of my favorite topics over the last year. I don't know that we've really covered making tough decisions, but I've had a lot of changes made in the last year, and I think a lot of you guys probably have too. Or you guys have had struggles making tough decisions. And I wanted to really talk about this because this is something that I've always struggled with, is making tough decisions. Because there's so many things that go on in our mind, all the what ifs, what if, this happens and this isn't going to work. We always look at, kind of like the negative of the decision making. So I wanted to really explain how I make decisions and some of the things that I've learned from making decisions to help you guys along that way too, because I think we get so caught up in all the little things that could go wrong when great things could go right. And just knowing that, at the end of the day, a decision, the biggest thing with a decision is that you had the guts to make a decision. And even if things don't work out, guess what? You have learned, you have grown, you have, these tools that you've gained from making these decisions that didn't work out. But you had the guts, you were brave, you took that step. And that's the great thing about life, is you can take steps, you can make mistakes, and guess what? You can correct them, right? I think a lot of us fear, what if things do go wrong? But I ask the question, what if things do go right? Right? There's so many decisions that, or, even decisions that you don't make, right? If you make no choice, you've made the choice of doing nothing, right? And a lot of times we live in that fear, or we live in that kind of, complacency, because we decide to not make a decision, or we decide not to act on the things that we want. So we've got to be able to get past that point. And once you start to gain that, that clarity, and you start to make the decisions of the life that you want, you'll be surprised at the things that open for you. So I think it's important to really understand that no matter what decisions you can make, you're going to make the best decision that you think is best for you at the time, and even for your future, right? And if those don't work out, guess what? You can pivot and do something else. And this is coming from a guy that has had 5 jobs in the last year, right? There were things that, I had to decide this year where, I'm not going to put up with a lot of BS, right? If things aren't going the way that I want to within my career, I've got to be able to make a change instead of holding out and waiting for the best thing, right? Now, some people say, oh man, you're crazy. Oh, I don't know why you have so many jobs, or man, you're just looking for some unicorn. I don't know. I've heard it all, right? But what I looked at was, I've got to be able to make the best decision for me and my family. And when it came down to it, if happiness is something that something that I want, right? We all should, we all deserve happiness. And if you're not happy somewhere, I think a lot of us hold on to a job too long, and we become miserable. And then we, are really afraid to make decisions because, man, well, what if I do this? If I do this, man, I'm going to miss out on some pay or whatever. But, the decisions I've made, maybe they haven't worked out the best, and maybe it was a wrong job fit or whatever that looked like. But when it looks like, on the other end, I'm happy, right? And life has not, been drastic. It hasn't, these changes that I've made have been great decisions for me, because I've learned more about myself, and I've learned more about what I want my career to be. And I don't want to sit and wait and, sit in a company for 10 years and be like, man, I should have taken another job, or man, I should have started that business, right? So when I started Breathe Motivation, this podcast, I was so afraid of, getting out in front of people, but I've been able to help people. I've been able to serve people, and I've been able to really do what I enjoy doing, right? So this is something that has really been a blessing for me, because I'm able to reach out to people, talk to people about things that are going on in everyday life. And, same thing that happened to me. I wish that I had somebody, that could guide me along the way, right? And I guide myself along the way too. But I have people around my life, or that are in my life, that can make things better, right? So just know, making tough decisions it's exactly what it is. It's tough. But I think we make it tough on ourselves because of certain things, right? So one of the major things that I look at is time, right? We spend time agonizing over these decisions that we're going to make. And these decisions of, changing a career, moving to another state, or, you know, whatever decisions you can think of, right? You take so much time to think about those things. So when you sit and you dwell on them, guess what? You're going to get so much information that it's going to be even tougher to make decisions. When I look at, my recent job change, or, looking at changing my career again, you know, I took some time to really think about it, but I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, if I think about this more, I have a gut feeling of what I should do. And if I wait and I sit and I think and I think, guess what? I'm going to be stressed out, right? And a lot of us go through a lot of stress because of the amount of time that we take to make decisions. There are people that I see at restaurants that take 20 minutes to make a decision on their meal, right? When it comes down to it, you've got to be able to make a decision and make a decision decisively, right? And know that within that time that you make that decision, great things will happen, right? So when I think about that, gathering information, right? I gather information. I look at, the pros and cons. I balance those out, right? So I look at a sheet, or I think in my mind, hey, here's the pros of staying at this company. Here's the cons of staying at this company. Here's the pros of this company. Here's the cons of this company, right? So you kind of balance and weigh the difference. And you go throughout that and you make that decision. You're kind of like, okay, great. Let me visualize, is this the right direction that I want to go for my future, right? So I know we always talk about staying in the present, but at the end of the day, when you look at your future, is this leading to the career that you want, or the career path, or, is moving the best decision for you because you want a new start, a fresh start, and it's going to, take you out of your comfort zone, and you're going to get better from that. You're going to meet new people. You're going to do all these great things. So what's the best thing that could happen? I ask myself that all the time. What is the best thing that could happen, right? Because I think a lot of times, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? So you can ask yourself, both. I kind of turn what's the worst thing that can happen into a positive. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Oh, great, I got to go find another job. Okay, great, let's make the decision, right? Next, you want to advise yourself, right? There's a lot of times that we go out and we outreach, to other people, and we ask all of our friends, we ask all our family, and a lot of the times we do that and we start to get even more stuck. We start, digging this hole, and then that decision is so much more, it's so much harder to make, because as we're digging this hole, the more advice we get from people, the more we have to think about it. And guess what? The more stress that we have. So one of the things that I always ask when I ask other people's advice, when I ask other people's advice, am I doing this for me? Or am I asking these people to really make that decision for me because I'm afraid to make a decision, right? So when I ask myself, am I doing this for me? I've got to know that at the end of the day, that is the decision that's made, right? Nobody is going to work the job that you're doing. So if you're going to make this decision on your job, guess what? You can ask your spouse, you can ask your partner, you can ask your family or your friends, and guess what? They're not going to be doing the job for you. So don't be looking to other people for that decision for you. I know, prior and before, years ago, that's what I would do. I'd ask that decision because I'd ask other people for advice, and I would think about it and I would stress about it. And sometimes I would make decisions, based on what other people said, and it wasn't the right decision. So I had to really look at it, and that's what I ask myself now. Am I doing this for me? Because I don't want to resent other people, because that's usually what will happen. Hey, you make a decision, you're like, oh, I made this decision because of this person. Now you're not cool with this person because you're holding this resentment that, oh, hey, they made this decision when it was really your decision. So you should be mad at yourself, right? I used to get so mad about it. I was like, man, I made this decision because I thought it would be better because this person said it would. And it didn't. It doesn't work like that, right? And then also asking that question, am I doing this for me? You don't risk losing yourself. You don't risk losing who you are. The more decisions that you put off on other people, the more that you lose of yourself, and that self-worth, and that image, and that self-appearance and confidence within yourself, right? You have a lack of confidence because you can't answer that question. Am I doing this for me? If you're doing it for somebody else, it's always the wrong decision. And I'll tell you that from experience, from lots of experience. If you're doing anything that you don't enjoy doing for somebody else, that's a problem. And I've lived it. I've learned it. I do the best that I can. So if you're going to make a tough decision, make that decision that's best for you. right? And it's going to tie into your family, right? I'm never going to make a decision that's going to put my wife at risk, or my house at risk, or things that are not going to allow me to be the best me, right? So don't be afraid to ask for help, but also look at advising yourself like a friend, right? So what would you tell your friend? If somebody asked you for advice, what would you tell your friend? And I play this conversation in my head all the time, like, hey, here's what I would do. And as you start to tell yourself this as your own friend, and honestly, you should be your own best friend, right? When you think about it and you tell people, hey, you start to advise yourself, you're like, hey, this decision looks great because of, this is the avenue of your career, what you want to do. So you're looking at this, you're going to be able to learn, you're going to be able to learn about coaching, you're going to be able to learn about, business, you're going to be able to learn about different types of sales. You're going to be able to get uncomfortable, right? You're be able to step outside your comfort zone. So you start talking to yourself as a friend and advising yourself like you would advise your best friend, or, your family or whatnot, right? Because other people, value your opinion, right? People have asked you for advice. Take your own advice, right? Start to really see that within your mind and visualize yourself giving yourself own advice, right? Have that conversation with yourself. Is this the best thing for me? And am I doing this for me? And what are the great things that I'm going to gain from this? Even if this decision doesn't turn out to be the best, guess what? I'm going to make a great decision. I'm going to learn a lot of great things, and this is going to help me towards life, right? So the next question I always ask myself is, what am I afraid of, right? A lot of us and most people are afraid of regret or judgment from others, right? And if you're afraid of judgment from others, you've got to be able to look at it within yourself. Again, it comes down to, am I doing this for me? You can't worry about the outside judgment of friends or family or your partner or spouse or whatever that looks like, right? Because if you're worried about that, again, you're looking at it from all the wrong angles. You're looking at, how can I please other people? And that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with, is pleasing other people, right? You want to people please. You put on this mask. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day on how they put these masks on, and it drains them, right? You're putting on this mask. You're putting on this fake thing, this fake person. You're this fake person, right? I used to do that all the time, and you've got to be able to really understand that you are the best you can be. And stop being anybody else. You are who you are. You're unique. You're special. You are worthy. You have self-worth. You should believe in yourself, and you should believe in your decisions. Don't ever make decisions based on others judging you, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Those people don't care, right? Again, you are living the best life that you can live. And you're making decisions based on you, because nobody else is going to live your life for you. You've got to live your life. You've got to be happy with your decisions, and you've got to be able to be happy at the end of the day, right? Next is regret. What am I afraid of? A lot of people regret, hey, if I take this job, or, I move to this place, am I going to miss all these people? Or, hey, I'm going to miss out on a bunch of money. I could have made more money here. So if you start to see all the negative things, so you're like, man, that's when you really start to see those things. Well, if I take this job, I'm going to lose all of these things, right? But it could be the best decision you ever make. You could make a jump to a career and say, well, hey, maybe I'm not making as much money, but I am happier, right? Money doesn't create happiness for a lot of people. You talk to some of the richest people, you go and Google, rich people, a lot of them say money didn't make them happier. It just made them, and by all means, obviously you want to make money, because that's what kind of makes life go. You got to pay bills and all that good stuff, but a lot more money doesn't make everybody happier. So you've got to be able to understand that, hey, make the best decision for you to be able to afford your bills and make your bills and do all that stuff. But at the same time, if, I've looked at it, and there have been times where I've taken a little bit of a pay cut, knowing that, hey, I can maybe make more commission from, another avenue, for like a base. Like, I'll take a smaller base, and I know like the commission structure is better, so I can make more money, right? But I'll be able to take a little bit of a pay cut for a company I believe in, or a product that I believe in, and be happy doing that. And guess what? When that starts to happen, great things start to happen, because I'm open to all these great things. I see the picture. I see the big picture. I see the future. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to learn these things. So just know, what am I afraid of? Answer that question. And just know that at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut feeling, right? There are decisions that I make that I'm like, oh man, here we go. Like, it's scary, right? They're scary. You don't know what's going to happen, but nobody knows what's going to happen. You can't tell the future, but you can work your hardest to be the best you can be. And that's all that matters. And one funny thing that I look at, and I've done this in the past, and I kind of want to recommend this to you guys, and it might sound a little weird, but flip a coin, right? So if you have two decisions, if you have two careers, like you're at your current job and then you have another job, or your current place, like when I lived in Phoenix and I was moving to Dallas, right? So I was so afraid of, making that decision because it's like, well, great, I don't have any friends. So now I've got to, learn, meet new people, and it was, great experience and the best thing I ever did. But what I did was I flipped a coin. And when that coin is in the air, so take whatever coin you got. Heads, I'm going to Dallas. Tails, I'm staying in Phoenix. It's the most interesting thing. Or, hey, I'm staying at this career, or I'm going to this new job. As you flip that coin, it's the craziest feeling. It's amazing what the feeling is, because as you flip that coin, you're going to say in your head, I want it to be tails. I want it to be tails. I want it to be tails. And then when it lands on heads, you're like, man, right? So you get your right answer within that moment, because if you're regretting that thing turning to heads, great, I'm not going to make that decision. My decision was made by just the coin in the air, right? Because I was telling myself the right answer. I was telling myself, hey, I want to go to Dallas, right? If that thing had landed on Phoenix, I would have been like, man, do I really want to do that? Why am I even considering Dallas? And then I was like, no, I'm moving to Dallas, right? So there's a lot of great little techniques that you can do, like the flip of a coin. I'm telling you, if you have a couple decisions to make, outline, let's just say 3 or 4 decisions. Come down to those bottom 2. Don't take too much time thinking about all those things and gathering all that information. Like I said, that becomes paralysis by analysis. Get down to your top 2 choices. And when it comes down to those 2 choices, flip a coin, and the feeling of what you want will tell you what it is. No matter where that coin flips, you're going to make the best decision for you. So that's a little tip that I use. It's something that I think will help a lot of people and will help you. So let me leave you with this quote. You will know you made the right decision. You will feel the stress leaving your body, your mind, and your life. And that's Bridget Nicole. So go out there, make tough decisions. They're not as scary as you think they're going to be. And guess what? You can correct those if you need to. So make the best decision for you. Ask yourself, what is the best thing that could happen? What am I afraid of? And am I doing this for me? And if you can answer those with full heart and be transparent with yourself and advise yourself like a friend, you will make the best decision for you. So like my page on Facebook, Breathe Motivation. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate. Check out my website, breathemotivation.com. And as always, you guys can reach out to me on my email, anthonyhester@breathemotivation.com, or any of the social media platforms. I love hearing from you guys. And as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. And I will see you next week. Thanks.